Welcome to the Fam Jam team call. It is April 29th. We're almost at the end of the month. I am so pumped for our call tonight. I hope you guys are ready for it. And if you haven't, we are going to get like all the things tonight, trust me. If you were able to grab the link to download her package before this call, make sure you have that with you. If you didn't, not a problem. She is going to walk us through everything and you can download it afterwards. But get ready to take notes or screenshot whatever it is that you do best. And before we dive into everything though, I would love to just kick it off with some recognition. So I'll pump it over to you guys. Who has recognition? Everyone waits for Shirley.
No, I'm trying to wait for somebody else to go, but everyone just sits back and waits. So I'll go. Okay, so actually I'm going to start because Trish couldn't be on the call and I don't want to forget to do this. Trish asked me if I would shout out Teresa for selling 2 challenge packs and sitting at SC4. So she wanted me to shout out Teresa. So yeah, way to go, Teresa. Amazing. She's sorry she can't be on the call, but she's stuck on another call. So I wanted to start with you so I didn't forget, because then that would be really bad and I'd feel really bad. As for my FitLife team who are on fire, it's not official until tomorrow, but I wanted to I did this on Crush Call the other night, but I wanted to recognize Jennifer Bulbrook for hitting emeralds. I wanted to recognize Emily for hitting emeralds, and Emily is also sitting at SC10 in her first month, which is like crazy good. I'm so proud of her. I wanted to recognize Christina for enrolling her first working coach. We did a Getting Started Right call. It was amazing. Yeah, like she's just totally into building her business. I wanted to recognize Malicia for hitting SC6 in her first month of coaching and sitting at 734 PV at present, which is amazing. And both Christina and Kiara are sitting at halfway to diamond rank. So I'm super proud of both of them for all of their hard work this month. So I think I got everybody. I try to write everybody down because I really don't want to forget anybody. But yeah, I think that's everybody.
That's incredible. Congrats, everyone. You guys are on fire. Anybody else recognition? No, we're good. Okay.
Yes, me, Marisol. Sorry.
Go for it.
Can you hear me? Oh, sorry. I'm just on the road. I just got off for work, so I was trying to hop on and do recognition so quick, but I'm at a stoplight, so that's good. I wanted to give a shout out to Asil, who is new to the group, and she's already gone emerald, and to Jean. They're doing so amazing. They've been so committed to their workouts, and I'm just so inspired by them. So want to welcome them. That's it.
I love
both,
it.
Jean, yeah. So both Jean and Asil.
You guys are rock stars. I love it. And I love how you're showing up on social media as well. You guys are rocking it. Anybody else for recognition?
Yes, I have one. I wanted to shout out Kaylee and Shaw because they've been legit super supportive the last couple of days. And I just am so grateful for you guys.
I love that. Kaylee?
I have one.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Kaylee. Before I forget, I wanted to give a huge shout out to Cresta and Marisol for up-leveling themselves. I'm so excited to run a challenge group collectively together. And Marisol set up our bod groups, her very first time setting it up. So I'm super excited to collectively work with them, and it's a great learning experience for everyone. And I also wanted to welcome my brand new coach, Heather Renard, on our team. I'm super excited to have her join us. We jumped on a call with Shalene, and I can just see so much passion and fire in her for wanting to help others. So I'm excited to have her joining us today. I see her there. So welcome to the team.
Welcome. That's amazing. Kaylee, go ahead.
Wow, this team is just so huge. I was like scrolling pages when I came in. So just hi everybody. and welcome to everyone new. We have some new people as well over on our teams, and they're just doing so good. Shout out to Lindsay Gregg. She has 4 clients already, and she's sending out lots of invites, and she has 2 of them looking at getting a VIP membership to Coach Disco so that they can get some discounts. So she's got a lot going on over there, and I know she's working really hard. And Janine Martin, big shout out. Welcome to the call, Janine. She's just doing so well, and she's just really throwing herself into everything, and just taking off bits and parts and letting us like feed her mind, body, and soul, and just really taking that experience forward. And I just love what she's doing, and I'm just so proud of her. Welcome Ashley Bloomfield to her first team call. Ashley's finishing up her life coach business, and she's already been talking to tons of people. She has lots of people interested. So I'm super impressed and ready to see what she's going to be doing in the next little bit. She's so fun. You guys got to follow her. And of course, Chelsea Scott. She is like, she has so many share cards out in these people, and she's following up and she's rocking it all. And I mean, like, if it wasn't before this call, she is going to be going Emerald so soon. So I'm so excited for her. She's just pushing so hard, and she's just, you know how it goes. It's the personal development, and she's really leaning into all that stuff, and it's really showing through with how she's progressing as a coach. So I'm just super proud of her. It's crazy. I have a team. Thank you all. This is amazing.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. Okay, that was awesome. Welcome all the new faces, and congrats to everyone where you're at. This is insane. We've never had 2 pages of coaches on a call before, so this is fantastic. And is anybody else with recognition really quick before I go ahead?
Yeah, you're not skipping me. Sorry. Not
Hey, you're there. Go for it.
Yeah. I'm like, I got it out here. I'm not missing mine. Just kidding. I'm super proud of my team. So you know how I am. I love giving recognition. So huge shout out. Obviously, Kaylee, I'll start off with you. She's killing it. She has an amazing team, and I've got to know all of the ladies myself individually, and they're all firecrackers, and I really know that you're just going to kill it in this business, and I'm so happy to have you a part of our family. Kaylee has SC2 on her account, but actually 12 on Rob's account with her husband, so she's just killing it. Lexi, our new coach from the United States, is Emerald and SC6. Tanya, she's kept her SC4, and her and Alicia have partnered up, and they've started their own community. So we've been really pushing for this. So that's super exciting itself. And then Jen Alexander, you've seen her on the calls. We've been trying to like push her to become a coach. She decided she was going to be a coach. She put up a post. She got a coach transfer to Beachbody on Demands, and also sold her first challenge pack, sitting at SC2, 1 person away from Emerald. So like, hello. And then we have Alicia sitting at SC6. I have to write this down. And Miranda sitting at SC2, and I know that she is literally just going to be knocking on the door of Emerald. I am so lit up right now. Big things are coming in 2020. COVID-19 has got nothing on all of us, so let's go, people.
Okay, how do I follow that? Oh my gosh. Okay, you guys are incredible. I freaking love all of you. There's so much recognition, you guys. We're 10 minutes into this call. I'm going to dive right in. Okay, so Shorty, SC18 right now, insane leader for Success Club on the team. Drew and Shaw sitting at Success Club 8. Jordan and Nicole sitting at Success Club 8. We have a bunch of other people who are like knocking on the door of Success Club 5. You guys, we still have 2 days left, today and tomorrow, to hit Success Club for the month. So keep going. I know you guys are so close, like you are right there. So keep going through those conversations. Don't give up. I know that it's happening. It's there for you.
Yeah. So I was actually going to do recognition for PV, because this has been a really good week for all of you, and I know that our PV is insanely high. We actually hit a record high this week, and it's not even over tonight.
As a team collectively.
As a team. So for those of you that don't know, if you're new on the call, PV is personal volume, and it collectively works its way up to team volume. So This week's record high was 13,468, which is insane. That's just for 1 week. So that is incredible, guys. That's incredible. And that's all on you guys. That has nothing to do with us. That is directly related to you guys. And with everything that's going on in the world, it hasn't slowed you guys down at all. By the looks of this team, the pages that are growing, I'm so incredibly proud of you guys. I'm so incredibly proud of this team. So hats off to every single one of you.
As I cheer up. So we're going to move on. You guys are awesome. Let's dive right into this call. I am so excited. So Jocelyn is here with us. I see you there.
Yes.
I'm going to give you guys her official bio, but I kind of want to preface this with the fact that we were at the Diamond Retreat with Crush Nation in the summer. And Jocelyn was there as a guest at the retreat. And she literally, I just immediately was attracted to her. I was like, who are you? What do you know? I need to know everything. And we need to be best friends. And she showed up with such incredible knowledge and just such a giving heart the entire time she was there. She took some incredible photos of the team. But more than that, she really just poured into us the entire time that we were there. And I asked if she could be on this call because I knew she was going to bring so much value to all of you, because I knew what I got out of the what was it, an hour call or an hour talk, I feel like. And then I was slowly trying to pick her brain the rest of the time we were there. So just a personal experience with Jocelyn. We just absolutely fell in love with her. But officially, Jocelyn is a brand coach and photographer who specializes in helping solo entrepreneurs get crystal clear on their brand and helps them to accurately and authentically tell their brand story so they can achieve their business goals. She focuses on helping you build trust, recognition, and connection with your customers and clients. In addition to the educational training in both photography and business, Jocelyn has over 10 years of professional photography experience, combined with management experience working with public, private, and nonprofit industries. She operates her business from Burlington, Ontario, but her brand coaching services can be accessed from literally anywhere. So with that, I am going to turn this over to you, and you can kick us off. Thanks for being here.
Yay, that was such a great intro for me. I feel like it was really embarrassing listening to my own professional bio being read, but can I just get a quick thumbs up that you guys can all hear me okay? I've never done a big Zoom, okay, perfect. I've never done a big Zoom call like this with this many people, so, I hope you guys can bear with me if there's any technical issues. I'm normally working with people one-on-one. So I am going to just share my screen here to kick us off. Give me 1 second. Make sure this works. Okay. I hope everyone can see that.
You're good. We can see it.
All right. Maybe just a couple thumbs up or something if you guys can see. Okay, awesome. Okay, so first of all, thank you guys so much for having me on this call. I feel like just seeing this many people in one room during all of this is amazing for me. I'm such a people person, and this whole COVID thing has definitely thrown, I think, all of us for a loop. I did notice that so many of you guys downloaded the workbook. So you're already my kind of people. You're taking action and you're making things happen and you're wanting to, take those steps to move your business forward. And that is what I'm all about. It's not about perfection. It's not about, getting it right, but it's about taking action and taking those small steps. So kind of throughout everything that I talk about today, I really want you guys to keep that in the back of your mind. So it doesn't have to be, I'm going to throw a lot of information at you today, actually. So I really want to make sure that you're taking it with a grain of salt. And the best thing you can do is just pick one thing and try that one thing. Even if, you get to the end of this and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know where to start. Just start with the first topic, pick the first thing and try it. And also message me anytime. I am available to answer questions anytime. So I'm so proud of you guys for being here. This is amazing. And the fact that you guys are even trying to continue making your businesses thrive right now, just speaks volumes to like who you are and your personality. So with that, since you already did an amazing like intro, I'm just gonna head right into our first slide. Okay, so obviously I'm a brand coach and a brand photographer, but for those of you who don't know, like brand is a big like buzzword being tossed around right now, I think because of the increase in, you know, entrepreneurs growing their businesses online. It's kind of this word that we hear all the time, but I think people confuse what a brand actually is. So I want to clarify for you guys that a brand is how people actually perceive your business. So the interpretation of your business, not necessarily what your business is, but how people are interpreting your business. And your branding is a way for you to actually shape how they're viewing your business. So if you think about it in the way of like, you know, how important this is, how your customers see you is everything. So that's why I really, you know, my background is photography, but it wasn't until the last like 2 years that I really, you know, I started working closer with entrepreneurs, and I really saw the need for people really identifying what those foundational elements of their business actually are, so that they could create the right photos. Because if you don't know, you know, who you are, what you stand for, how do you create content to represent that? So in terms of the very first thing we are going to, oh, sorry, I should go back here for a second. In terms of brand photography, you guys might be thinking like, okay, that's great, like all these photos, like I'll use them for social media, but what else can I use them for? I do want to highlight that brand photos can be used in so many different ways. So think beyond social media and make sure you're looking at, you know, how to use them on a website. If you have a personal website, if you send newsletters to your mailing list, you can include lots of images that are personally branded to your business. And then freebies is like a whole other big category, but it's something that you want to think about adding your brand photos to as well. And that's anything from like, you know, a checklist or a how-to guide or whatever it is. But it's another amazing place where you can repurpose all of this content. So don't think that you're taking one picture for Instagram and that you're never going to use it again. Like I really want to see you guys repurposing content, because you're going to spend a lot of time and effort making these photos. So make sure you're getting like the most use out of it, okay? Okay, yay, tip number 1. This might seem obvious, but the better the lighting, the better the photo. And I think that, you know, people take lighting for granted with photography. Like I don't think they really put a lot of thought into how much impact this has on your photo. But if you're taking a self-portrait, most of us don't like doing that. Most of us don't like taking pictures of ourselves. I don't know if it can't just be me. Like I am a photographer and I hate taking pictures of myself. But the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. And if you kind of know where to start, it definitely helps with the final product. So if you're going to take a picture of yourself, stand in front of a window, find the biggest window in your house. Doesn't really matter what's in the background. I'm telling you, like the quality of light will trump, you know, whatever messy house is in the background, I promise you. And it's also what we'll get to in terms of authenticity. So stand in front of a window, and I would recommend, unless you're comfortable with lighting, face the window straight on. So if you look at this picture here, how she's kind of like sideways, this photo is obviously edited. So if you are comfortable with editing, do like the side lighting, but otherwise I would say face the window straight on. You'll get even lighting on your face, and like you can't go wrong. The other great trick that people underutilize, like if you have a house, is going to your front door, opening your front door, and then putting a chair or standing there or whatever, but facing your front door. That is like the most incredible full-length lighting that you can get. And people really, really underutilize that part of their house. But it's usually also like you have stairs behind you, like it's usually a really good backdrop. So make sure you try that out. The same rule with lighting applies for products and items. And I know you guys are primarily a service-based business, but I know you guys also do sell products like your Shakeology and stuff like that. So the same rule applies. Make sure you put in your product next on a table next to the window, like move stuff around. Like this is, you know, the other big mistake people make when they're taking pictures is they kind of just have this set up as is and they try and make it work, but like that's not always the most ideal lighting. So honestly, like move your kitchen table over to the window and like spend like, 30 minutes and take as many different product photos as you can. And for me, natural lighting is always best. If you like those bright and airy photos that are like really popular right now, and it's more my style anyways, natural lighting is going to give you that bright and airy look without editing. So if you're comfortable editing, sure, you can like mix up the different light, but artificial light and natural light have different color temperatures. So if you are next to a window, make sure you're turning off those overhead lights to really get that beautiful natural light coming through, and not a mix of colors in your photos. It will be very, very, muddled, and it just won't have that bright and airy, like beautiful lit vibe that you really are looking for. And then the other thing is your phone. So sometimes your phone, like if you're taking a picture of yourself, you'll have your phone out and you'll notice like yourself, you go really dark in the picture. Your phone, like phones are pretty good with like setting the right exposure. But if you find that you're ever too dark because maybe you're wearing like a lighter shirt or something, you just want to tap lightly on the screen to where you want the exposure. Typically if it's a photo of you, you want it on your face. You're photographing an object, to make sure you're just tapping on the object, and it'll automatically expose properly for that object or that spot that you're touching. This is a really big one that people underutilize on their phone. So I'm just going to go over that again. So just if you have your camera on, okay, so you have your camera on, you're just going to lightly tap where you want the exposure. So see how it goes light and then dark? It's really underutilized and it will really help you, especially if you're outside. That really helps with when you're outside. The last point with lighting is ring lights. So I would only recommend using ring lights if you have no natural light where you typically do your photos. So let's say you have an office and it's in your basement and you want to use a ring light. I totally support that. Just make sure it's big enough that the light can disperse around you. I know Jared and Shailene, you guys use a ring light for some of your photos. I can tell by like the catch lights in your eyes, and they turn out really good. So you guys must have a bigger one. So it might be worth maybe sharing which one you guys have with your team if they're interested in getting it, because yours is definitely the right size. Whereas some people will get them and they're like this, and then it just is a really small spotlight on your face, and it just won't get the look that you really want. Okay. Oh, I should mention also, as I'm going through this, I am gonna power through and we're gonna save questions till the end, but I think Shailene is gonna track your questions in the chat for me, and then we'll pull up some of them at the end. So if as we're going through this, you have a question, please just pop it in the chat and we'll get to it at the end, okay? Okay, how's everyone doing? We got through number 1. Okay. Okay, so this one is my favorite category. I talked about this already a little bit, like people underutilize their own body and movement when they're taking pictures. I think as a photographer, like I call photography almost like a full contact sport. Like if I don't get myself in like a weird, crazy position during a photo session, like I'm doing it wrong. So like, don't think that taking a picture is just like standing there and taking a picture. Like you should be moving around all the time. Like you should be, getting up on a chair, balancing yourself on your island in your kitchen. You should be, laying on the ground, taking a picture of your kid coloring. Like that's photography, and that's where the pictures that you see on people's Instagram that really catch your eye or you're like really drawn to, it's because it's not just from a standing position and that one angle, and it's not always just the selfie angle either. So a few of those examples is to use a tripod. You can use a laptop. A laptop is an amazing tripod to rest your phone against. I don't know, like it just, honestly, it works so well. You literally just put your phone resting against it and use your self timer. I highly, highly recommend playing around when you're taking self-portraits. Play around with your self-timer. Like we're all we love the selfie angle, don't we? Like we really, really love it. But there's also amazing filters in Instagram now that if you even just like take it with that and rest it and, you know, use the hands-free option or something, like there's just try different things and try and get away from the selfies. I mean, I have selfies on my profile too. It's fine. Just try and mix it up if you can. You want to try and get really close in and get detail. That's another way to add interest to your feed, and a lot of times something people don't think about. And then getting down to eye level is like one of my biggest tips when taking pictures of products. So I'm gonna go right to the next. And then flat lays are directly from above. So you probably hear people talk about flat lays all the time. If that's just a picture straight from above, just hang tight. Okay. So here's 2 examples of different flat lays. Can you guys see my mouse when I like move it around? Okay, cool. So here's an example of a flat lay with like no people in it. And don't be afraid to like let your like objects like go out of the frame. I think a lot of times people, when they do flat lays, think it has to be like perfectly centered, like in your screen, but honestly it adds more interest and tells more of a story if you kind of like let things kind of be coming in from the screen, from the sides of this picture, including hands are a great way to have you like interacting with objects, especially for flat lays. So obviously you need the help of like a family member or friend to help you if you want like both your hands in it. Julie's pointing at Jer. But it honestly, like for cooking pictures, especially, like having like hands interacting with the picture, just it tells more of a story. And like we will get to storytelling in, you know, module number 5. But honestly, like it's one of the things that are it's hardest because we're trying to take these pictures on our own. But I'm telling you, like just call your husband or your kid or whoever is home and just ask them to help you for 2 seconds. I really wanted to show you guys these eye level pictures because I think when we think eye level, sometimes we just think of things like this, like the notebook, like getting down to the table, getting to eye level. But it also applies to pictures of you. So if you're sitting on the floor, don't have your phone, you know, up on a chair, getting that down angle. Try it where your phone's actually on the floor at eye level to where you are. It just gives a different perspective. And again, like what we're trying to do and like these tips that I'm giving you is all to create variety, because the last thing you want is to have an Instagram feed or a website that has, you know, the same picture over and over and over again. Like variety is honestly, it's key to a good Instagram grid. I did want to draw attention to this picture again, only because it's an example of a close-up and it's an example of an eye level shot. And it's, I don't know, I love shots like this. I think they're beautiful. With this yoga mat, I think this is a underutilized close-up option. So just because you're doing a close-up and you want to feature, maybe this is like a type of workout that you want to do, or, you know, this tells so much of a story. Like, don't underestimate, you know, how you can play around with close-up detail and space and having you in a picture without it being a close-up of your face. I'm going to talk a lot, you know, in the last section about pictures of you, and we get very uncomfortable when, you know, we're told that we have to show up on our Instagram pages more, but there's lots of different ways to do that, where it doesn't have to just be a picture of your face, and this is a perfect example. See if I had any other. Because we're all home right now, and I know for people with kids, it's been, you know, people are saying it's chaos, basically. So I totally understand that. So when you're taking pictures, just take an extra second and pay attention to what's in the background. So depending on the story you want to tell, it's going to determine whether you want to tidy up that background or not. But I just want to make you aware and kind of give you, like, make sure you're taking that second to think about what story you're actually telling and paying attention to what's in the background of that photo. A very, very easy way to, you know, if there's something in the background you don't like, don't feel like you have to clean up. Literally, again, move your body and go to the other side of the table and take the picture from there. We get so in our head that like we can't move, but you can. So just use that as, if you don't want to tidy up all the time, just move to the other side of the table, okay? And then the last thing for point of view that I love, and I don't know how many of you are following me on Instagram, but I do a lot of these like quick little photo tips all the time. And I did one yesterday about if you're new to the business and you're just starting to build up your content, and right now, obviously, you can't hire brand photographers. Like, you're on your own, you have to do this by yourself, and you're limited for time, especially if you have kids and you have all these other things going on. So the easiest and fastest way to build up your photo content on your own, every photo you take, I want you to take it from at least 3 different angles. Okay, so that will give you, literally, it takes like, I'm gonna go to the next page here. So if you look at this example, I did these the other day, and that literally took me 10 minutes, and that's 4 different posts. So I can spread that throughout my grid over the course of the next 2 to 3 weeks. And that's like the same thing, right? It's me with a camera, but it's from 4 different angles. See, I do selfies. But honestly, it also gives you, we'll talk about this, one of our categories is color. It also creates consistency in your feed with color. Like it literally gives your like a really nice vibe to your photo. So every time you take a photo, take it from at least 3 different angles. It will really help. And like literally, this is how, like, if you don't have a tripod, this is my laptop on top of a pot on top of my bar stool. So like, there's no excuses for only taking selfies. Like, everyone has a chair, everyone has a pot that they cook spaghetti in. Like, it's that easy, and like no one sees that part. So just do what you have to do. Stack a bunch of books, do whatever you have to do to get the right level, and you're gonna have to play around. Like, you are gonna have to try like many pictures and find what works for you. Okay, so don't like try it once and be like, oh, I look fat in that angle, and give up. Just get another book, like lift it up higher. Okay, the full body shot's not working for you, then crop it in or do one from above. Like, I really want you guys to play around, because that's the only way you're gonna find what angles do work for you, and you'll be able to start feeling a little bit more confident in front of the camera. Okay, so just keep trying. All right, the next, just want to make sure I covered everything. Yeah, okay, so the next one, composition, is a little bit, it's similar to point of view, but it's focused more on how you're actually taking the shot, like what you're actually going to be using the shot for, as like at the end. So what's the purpose of that photo? So using photos with negative space, like this picture here with this girl, are amazing for promotional materials and for websites. So they give you these, like, I don't know, they're literally perfect for being able to add your own content, and they're just so like visually appealing to people as well. I would say they're less impactful on Instagram, because Instagram, your grid is a square crop, so typically you're not going to get that same horizontal landscape view with the negative space. But if you're creating any kind of presentation or website or anything like that, they're amazing. And they're also really good for Facebook cover photos as well, where you can actually create some info in Canva and create a really beautiful image that way. If you guys don't already know, portrait mode on your phone is amazing for creating the blurred background. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend using that all the time for photos of yourself, but if you're doing photos of objects or anything like that, it adds that level of professionalism by creating the blurred background, because that's typically, as a professional photographer, that's how we would take a picture of an object. For photos of you, I find sometimes it looks a little artificial on a phone, so I would just be hesitant to like tell you guys to use it all the time for self-portraits, but definitely give it a try if you're taking pictures of food or any of the products that you want to sell, or like workout equipment or anything like that. Okay, so the rule of thirds, I don't know if any of you guys have heard of this before, but really it's just the rule that creates negative space in the photo, and it just creates a really visually appealing image. So you're just going to want to, like, we have this inclination to want to place things in the center of the picture. So honestly, just try like putting you off to the side a little bit, and it's just going to create, it instantly makes your image look more professional and polished. So that's just a little tip for taking pictures of anything really. I have a person in this example, but it could be an object as well. Okay, color. This is one of my favorite categories. So I highly recommend choosing brand colors. So this example, or the things I'm going to talk about here, is assuming you guys already have chosen your brand colors. But if you haven't, there's so many different websites that are free where they'll throw out different color combinations for you, and you can just pick one based, on what appeals to you. And then you can look up what the psychology behind those colors are to make sure it aligns with your brand. And then it also has like the color code, so that if you're in Canva or something, you can create your brand colors right in there, and then everything is consistent. You know how everybody does like quotes and things like that in their feed? If you have your brand colors and you're kind of incorporating those into your feed as well, it's going to really create that recognition. And people love consistency as well. So they know when they're going to your page, they're going to see, they know what they're going to see. They know what kind of vibe that you're throwing out there. And color is such an amazing way to, at a glance, let people know kind of your vibe and what your personality is like. Like, you can go dark and moody. Like, I know light and airy is very trendy right now, but you can also go like super like neutral and earthy if that's like in line with your brand. So really play around with the colors that you choose, and you can like have so much fun with it. So looking for objects around your house that are in your brand colors is like such an amazing way to make your feed excuse me, look just like really, really beautiful. Honestly, you'll see in the examples here, this person's like wearing a piece of clothing in the brand colors. Like, that's one of my favorite ways to incorporate color. Like, one of my colors is yellow, and I'll try and like throw that in. You can get flowers, blankets in your house. I put furniture because some people have like these amazing pieces of like vintage furniture that they've like repainted and stuff. Like don't underestimate using that in your photo. If you had a beautiful dresser, you can sit in front of it with like a cute little hat on, and like that could be just like an amazing like pop of color like in your on your grid. So there's so many fun ways to play around with color, and it is important. It really does make the difference between kind of a chaotic feed that doesn't really tell a story, to one that you're like, oh, like this makes sense. Like, I know who this person is, and this feels really good to be like looking through this grid. Okay, this is the part I'm going to spend the most time on, and this is where sort of the brand coaching piece comes into play. Because as I said at the beginning, you can't really nail brand photography if you don't really know what it is you're trying to communicate to your customers. So this is just a little, these questions here that I have, like, who is your ideal customer? What 3 words best describe your brand? And why should someone buy from you instead of buying the same thing from someone else? These are really key questions that if you can't answer those, pretty quickly and right away, I really want you to download this free kit. So it's like completely free. Like, there's no strings attached. This is literally just something I created because of my own experience with building a business, but then also with the experience of working with entrepreneurs doing brand photography, and realizing that like, this is step 1. You have to know those things to be able to properly tell a story through pictures. So I highly recommend, if you don't really, if you can't really answer those questions off the top of your head, spend some time and really get clear on some of those, foundational branding elements. And even if, you've been doing this for a while and you feel like, yeah, like I know my brand, and I have a direction, and maybe you're trying to grow your business, it's not a bad thing to come back to some of those elements and just make sure that the goals that you're setting for yourself and, the steps you're taking to achieve those goals are in line with your values and what you are actually trying to achieve in the bigger picture. So this is all assuming that you really are knowing kind of what you want to do with your brand and what story you want to tell. But here are some different types of photos that are amazing for storytelling. So obviously photos of you like is a no-brainer. Although I think people undervalue how much of an impact this actually has, at least from my experience. I think maybe with your business model, it's probably a little bit different because you guys are coaches. Like you are your service, so to speak. However, I have worked with like a few different Beachbody coaches now along the way. And I also know that you guys do, you know, people can still hide behind the product element of your business. And I'm just gonna like say it flat out because sometimes I can be blunt, but like anybody can buy those products from any other coach. Like that's not the part of your business that makes you unique, right? Like anybody can get Shakeology from anybody. So why would I get it from you? And that just solidifies that people do buy products from people, not from businesses. Like take that completely out of the equation and you're left with just you. So the more of your personality and of your authenticity that you can put out to your customers, the more you're going to draw in the people that truly connect with you. And then you're going to, what I like to call, you're going to sell to them without even selling. Like that is your ultimate goal with creating these brand photos, is that before you even say one word, they already feel connected to you. They already feel like they're starting to get to know you. You want them to really be using, I think I put in here, yeah, say like, wow, like I can so relate to this, or like, oh my God, me too. Like, you know, I drink wine on Fridays, like after I spent the whole week working out. Like you want people to really have a sense that like they're not alone, and you might, you know, you might not, like you might deter some people by throwing out your authentic self. And that's actually a really good thing. If you're actually, you know, so real and authentic and being yourself that people are like, that's not for me, then you're actually doing it right. Because just as much as a person is going to not relate to you, another person is going to relate to you. So being authentic is like the biggest point to this whole thing. It's like, I don't want you taking a picture of you all glammed up if you work all day in your sweatpants and slippers. Like if that's you, then that's what I want you to take a picture of. But you can use steps 1 through 4 to take the photo well. And then you can take it authentically by tapping into what your brand is and who you are. So with authenticity, I think sometimes people get afraid that that means overshare. And I think, Shayla, you actually touched on this in your story today, which I thought was really funny because it was like a really big piece I wanted to touch on. And, you know, being authentic and showing who you are, especially in photos, like it's such a vulnerable thing to show pictures of your house and of you and of your family and of your pets in your life. Like I get that. It's a very vulnerable thing. So it's okay to pick and choose what elements of that you actually want to share. If you're not comfortable, you know, like if I love Jasmine Star. I don't know if you guys follow Jasmine Star, but she is my like social media like guru. Well, one of them, obviously, like this is my life. So I say it's research, but I just watch all these fabulous ladies talking about social media. But she always says, if you wouldn't say it to a stranger on a plane, maybe don't say it to your customers. Like use that as maybe a comfort level. So you don't have to show everything, but you have to show something of you, the thing that you want people to connect with. And you can pick what that is. Because again, you want it to align with your brand. And that just comes back to why it's so important to know what it is you want to represent in your brand. So then the other amazing storytelling photo is behind the scenes. So there's lots of different ways you can show behind the scenes photos. Like there's tons of different things. But the whole concept is that it gives your customers an idea of what it's like to work with you, insight into what your processes are, you know, if you create a product, it would be how that product is made, all of those things. So just going through the list here. Sorry. How to use your product. So are there different ways to use it? So my thing is, I think of, I wrote down the example of, sorry guys, I wrote down the example of Shakeology. So, you know, take it out of the packaging and show people different ways that you can use it. I think you like, someone makes like ice cream, chocolate ice cream with the chocolate one or something. Like, show people through photos that this isn't just like your average, like throw it in a blender with water, like chug it down because you need the protein. Like, this is actually like an ingredient in your kitchen that you can actually create things with, and it's good for your body. Like there's so many different ways. I know that you guys even do your home workouts, for example. Like, people modify that stuff. Like, what does your space look like? You know, how much space do I need? If I'm interested in maybe signing up, like, I only have a tiny condo, so can you show me like what's the actual space look like? What would it be like for me to work with you? Do I have to have a home office? Can I work from my bed? Can I work from my couch with a laptop? Do I need a laptop? These are all questions that you don't want people, you know, like, because they're not going to reach out and ask you those questions necessarily. So the more you can tell someone by them just glancing and following you, the more you're going to capture their attention, and you're going to pique their interest by answering their questions without them having to ask it. I feel like I forgot. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Oh, okay. I do want to go back to the you part because I missed something really, really important. If you don't feel like you're getting the pictures that you want of yourself, like, I don't want you to give up. I don't want you to throw them away. Okay? Like, there's always a way to use a photo. So I did just make an IGTV today about cropping photos, and like, you wouldn't believe that it's the same picture. So I want you to take a second before you delete a photo, and I want you to actually like see if there's a way to zoom in and crop it in a different way, so that you're not, you know, throwing away that time that you just spent on all those pictures. And the other trick that I use, because I do suffer from, you know, self-judgment, for sure. I think like a lot of us, especially women, I'll take my series of photos, and sometimes I'm like, ew, ew, ew. I leave them and I look at them the next day. And honestly, it's amazing how sometimes just that break, and it will change your perspective of those pictures. Or even I do it for my videos sometimes too. And I'm like, oh, okay, like, it's not that bad. I was just, sometimes your expectations are so high, you think like, I'm going to take this picture and I'm going to look like, I don't know, like Jasmine always looks beautiful in her pictures. So sometimes I'm like, oh, like, I took that picture sitting down like she does, and I don't look like her. But then I go back the next day and I'm like, oh, this is actually, you know, a great shot, so I'm going to use it. So just keep that in mind. It's like a super important one. And honestly, you just need like a tiny little bit of courage to be able to take these photos and post them. Like, especially if you're new to this, just try it. I'm telling you, you're judging yourself way more than anybody else is. So just, you know, give it a shot. If you need someone to like pump you up, like pump up your ego, tag me in the comment, and I will literally, like, I'll drop you all the heart eye emojis you could ever want. Like, the fact that you're even putting yourself out there is amazing. So honestly, like, just give it a try. Okay. Okay. Thank you for letting me go back. I feel like that's just such an important message, and I didn't want to miss it. Okay. I think it's important for behind the scenes to share your tools of the trade. So that can mean different things for different people. I feel like for you guys, it's going to depend on, you know, what your situation is, what your lifestyle is. But, you know, show what workout equipment that you're using. Show what tools you need to make some of those recipes. I think, you know, having some behind the scenes, especially, like, I know you guys sort of have two different audiences, and maybe Sheila, I'm looking to your screen for you to like let me know if I'm on the right track. But I know you guys are trying to build a team of coaches. Like everybody's trying to build their own team of coaches, but you also have your team of customers who are just the people who want to do the workouts and buy the products, right? And not everybody who's a customer is going to become a coach. So keeping that distinction of what those two people are going to need, make sure that if your primary goal is to build a team of coaches, they don't want to just see workouts. Like they don't want to just know how to make the meal plans. They don't want to know, like they want to know more about the actual business side. So don't undervalue the importance of showing like you working on your laptop or, working on, a board where you're planning out a launch of some kind of freebie or where you're planning out your social media. Like, I think to give people an expectation that this is a business is a very important piece. And I know I've talked to other, I talked to somebody who was actually like, she tried Beachbody and she ended up canceling like being a coach because she just didn't really understand. Like she wasn't really given the information that it was a business. Like she kind of just thought like, oh, I'll do workouts from home because I'm a new mom and, people will just ask me how to do that and then sign up. And I want to make this clear. This is somebody who lives like completely away, not Jan Shalian's team. They tell people what's up. But I think it's just like, I think you guys have a very unique product and service where you're kind of talking to two different demographics. So don't leave out, and I think the coaching one is more of the moneymaker, if I'm right. So don't undervalue, the need to tell people the business side of this, okay? And you can do that in a lot of different ways, like all the things that I'm talking about here, like where you work, how you work, not just using the product, but, stuff about your coaching calls. And also, I think I've noticed you guys are really good at doing stories for like community and teaching and coaching and stuff, but make sure you're also showing stuff like that on your grid. You want some of that content to be evergreen so that if people aren't tapping into your stories, they're still seeing that content if they're curious and they're going through your stuff. You want people to see like what are kind of like your 3 values always present on your grid. And community and teaching and stuff like that would be something around like a coaching call, or like you could literally do like a selfie of you with the grid of everybody in the background. Even something like that would work for sure. Okay, moving right along. How are we for time? Okay, we're good. Okay, so the last one for lifestyle. So lifestyle sort of ties into some of the other ones we were talking about, but it definitely is more about the personal side, not so much the business side. So it's going to tie into more like how you spend your free time, what are your hobbies, and then how your personal values tie into your business values. So I always say that as entrepreneurs, our business is sort of an extension of us. Like we are putting a lot of our passion and our energy and like our values and our vision into this business. So it really is an extension of us. So you really need to get clear on what your personal values are and how you want to extend those to your clients. Because it'd be very rare that you would value something like, trust, and then you wouldn't want to extend that to your customers. So they really are one and the same. So that's something, these are just like, this is an activity sheet for you guys just to spend some time with on your own. And then from whatever you select here, the hobbies one is obviously easier to know what to take a picture of. So if you have a dog and you spend a lot of time walking your dog, that's a pretty obvious way to incorporate that into your photos. But how do you incorporate something like, and environmental issues? If that's something that's very important to you and you're a Beachbody coach, like you might be thinking like, well, how do I show that? So ways that you can incorporate your values would be environment. Okay, so maybe you buy organic products for your baby. Like you only buy super healthy, clean soaps and lotions and like all that stuff. And that's a really important part of who you are. Share that, because someone else who also has that same passion and interest is automatically going to be more attracted to you than to someone else. And those are the kind of people you're trying to find, people who align with your values and your interests and your passions. So incorporate them. And that's like the perfect example of like how to share a bit of your life without oversharing. Like you don't have to show a picture of your kid in the bath, but you can show a picture of, you know, you washing your kid's hands with very, you know, clean, healthy soap, and it's a close-up of sudsy little kid hands. Like how freaking cute is that? Like that's the perfect example. And then you can talk about what you know, how you're passionate about having only clean products in your home. Environmental, again, like go grocery shopping. What are you shopping for? What meal plan are you on? Are you doing this, what is it, the 2B mindset? Then it's like, I love that program. It's amazing. Then it's like, okay, I'm going shopping for my vegetables. Make sure I bring my, you know, reusable bags with me. Then like it's a picture of you with your reusable bags and like veggies and fruit like pouring out of them, like or spilling onto your counter. Like those are great ways to show your values and what's important to you, but in a fun, creative way. Okay. Same thing with like family and community. Family, like pick and choose. You don't have to show pictures of your kid all over your feed. That's fine. But maybe you have a picture of you doing a workout with your kid in a high chair in the background. Like maybe a mom is like, oh my God, like that would be amazing if I didn't have to go to the gym. Or I mean, I know a lot of you guys, like the kids are like jumping on you during like the workouts and stuff, which is amazing. Like it's showing like, look, I have this life too. Do you want to just get this done? Because we're just going to do it and I'm going to help you. Like, or you can do it too. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. Like that's what an amazing message to send, if that's the message you want to send, and if that applies to you. So that's like, I think pretty much like everything that I have like for the photos. So yeah, like I think the biggest thing I want you guys to take away from everything we did is, I said it at the beginning, like pick one thing and try it. This was like a ton of technical, you know, stuff to actually try. And then it's about getting creative with how to show who you are. Like you need to show up, you need to show who you are, because that's how you're going to find the right people. And don't worry about the people that unfollow you. Don't worry about the people that don't like you. Like, don't worry about the people that don't buy your product or service, because that's not your customer. Like that person's not connecting to you. So keep showing up as who you are and you will draw in the right people, I promise. Like I only practice what I preach, and I've seen it like firsthand. I follow people, I work with people who have seen it as well. And it also like, you almost start to like not care as much anyways, because you're feeling so much more fulfilled. I would rather have, you know, hardly any followers and be connected to each and every one of them than have, you know, thousands that I don't really know and I don't even really know if they're my customer. So keep that in mind. Like it's not about the numbers, it's not about the likes. You get one like or one comment, you should be reaching out to that one like or that one comment and interacting with that person. That means you spoke to them. You spoke to one person liked your message over thousands of other people that could be telling the same message, but in a different way. So keep all of that in mind. The photos are, you know, it's one other way of telling the story. That's all it is. It's one other way, but it's not like, not every photo needs to be perfect. Obviously, you know, I'm a professional brand photographer, so I do recommend having like some professional photos scattered in your feed. It's always great to have like at least one quality headshot, because it just shows that you are a professional business. But, you know, we're also in this like crazy time right now where it's like, you know, we got to do it on our own. And like I'm missing my brand photographer. Like I'm having to learn how to do my own photos, which I don't really like. So I'm extending that knowledge to you guys and hoping you know, you give it a shot. So in terms of what's next, like I do offer free coaching consultations. So if you've gone through this and you're like, this is great, but I don't really know how to start, or I have a specific question of how this applies to my brand or my specific situation, call me and like I will tell you where to start and I'll give you some of those ideas. Like, that's free. Like, I want to get you on the right path. Yeah, like I have time right now. Like, normally I would be booked and going out and doing photo shoots, like half photo shoots, half coaching calls and stuff, but like I'm here. So I have the extra time. Like, I'm totally opened up my schedule to take on as many brand coaching consultations as I can. So like, take advantage. Like, I already know you guys are action takers based on the people that downloaded the workbook. So like, I'm hoping I get like a flood of emails being like, I want to book my consultation. Like, and like, honestly, like, no strings attached. I really just want to help you guys. I feel like I feel so lucky to be connected to such like an energetic group of people. And you know, it helps me too. So like, I'd love to chat. So make sure you guys do reach out. And yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Oh my goodness. Okay, so the feeling of like overwhelm is probably sitting with you right now. And just make sure that you guys are writing it down, and like go back to these notes tomorrow or even after this call and just like circle that one thing. Like, what's that one thing that you want to take action on and move forward from there, and then come back to it a little bit later. I loved that tip. You can stop the share if you want, or you can leave that up. Totally cool.
I'm going to stop it so I can see more people.
Okay, perfect.
How do I? Oh, here.
At the bottom, I feel
there
like.
We go.
Yay. Okay, so there was a couple of questions, and I just want to circle back to those as you were talking. One of the things that I really loved that you touched on, and it is really weird that I talked about that in my stories today, and then you touched on it. I feel like oftentimes when we become a coach, you feel like you almost have to forget who you are because now you're a coach. And it's exactly the opposite. Mm-hmm. It's stepping into who you are because you became a coach. And so I loved that little bit of a reminder. And also, like, for those of us who have been coaching more than a year, this is a great checkpoint. Where are you at with your brand right now? I loved that reminder. I am at this position right now where I'm actually feeling, for the past couple of months, this month not so much, but before, I was feeling a little bit disconnected from my brand, and it's because we've grown so much, and I've grown as an individual.
Yeah, I would say it's completely natural. Like, your brand will evolve as your business grows. Like, that's not, if you're feeling like, you know, maybe you've been in this a year and you're like, oh, I don't quite know, like, am I doing something wrong? Absolutely not. That means you're actually doing something right. You will evolve, especially when you're taking so much action. Because your action is actually going to lead you to know if you're on the right track. So where you start and how you envision your brand as it is today is absolutely going to change as you get more clarity and as you start drawing in the right people. Like, it truly will. So using, you know, that those branding, you know, checkpoints of your kind of basic branding elements, like your values and, you know, your customer avatar and things like that, that is going to bring you back to center and actually be like, okay, like, this is now the direction I want to go. And that's like so important.
Yeah, that's so good. And I definitely have been feeling that. And you almost feel like, can I rebrand? Like, you have permission. If it doesn't feel good for you, like, this is the call for the permission to be able to do that, I feel like. Okay, so we had a couple of questions. One was, do you recommend using Flash for your photos?
Never. I hate Flash.
Okay, that was really clear. No Flash ever.
Okay, yeah. Like, if you're in that dark of a situation that you need Flash, like, you probably shouldn't be taking the photo there. Like, that's just what I'm gonna say. Like, move yourself. Like, move into a different room. Like, move to a different spot. Choose a different backdrop, because Flash is just, yeah, I don't know. It blows out all of your face and it makes the background look super dark. And it's artificial lighting mixed with tungsten, usually mixed with natural. Like, I would just recommend no.
Perfect. When you were talking about the close-up photos, there's a question of, can you still use the timer for that one? I think specifically it was like the yoga mat, and then the girl was standing by the window. Was that something that a timer could be used for?
100%. when you are setting up your phone, remember when I just saying like tapping lightly on the screen for the exposure? It's the same thing with whatever you tap on is what the camera is going to focus on. So if you set up your timer with the mat, that's the perfect example. So you'll be able to see the mat in your screen, just tap on it, hit your timer, and then go stand behind and it'll capture it the same way. In terms of like the camera, depending on what phone you have, obviously newer phones, the camera quality is just way better. So the depth of field, which is what gives you the very blurred background and the very in focus front, it's not going to have like the exact same effect as that picture with the yoga mat, but just play around with it and try maybe standing at different distances. And you can always like, yeah, it's not going to have like the exact same effect, but you can also play around with portrait mode and self timer and that method.
Perfect. Thank you. The next one was around brand colors. And do you feel like maybe that could skew away potential customers from your Instagram feed? I kind of took this as maybe it being like too perfectly curated. Does that make sense?
Sure. I mean, I think that just speaks to if that's what you want to do, then do it, and the right people will be attracted to it. I think you have to stop worrying so much about what people are going to think, and I think you have to worry more about what do you want to present. The brand colors, like if having quotes in Canva with your colored background is too curated for you, don't do that. But I personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with a business brand presenting as polished and professional and still being authentic. Like I've said that before, that authenticity doesn't mean that everything has to look shitty. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like you can still have things that are curated and it's with intention, and you're creating a specific look and a specific vibe and a specific, story within your feed. So just play around with it. What feels good to you, and do that.
I love that. And then to that as well, I actually had a question on this because I feel like I get this quite often. Do you recommend that your feed is real-time photos or never real-time, or a mix of the two?
I think it's a personal preference. In terms of like research and sort of different like education that I've gotten on it, stories are real time. Stories is you're behind the scenes. This is happening right now. This is where we are. This is the kids running around like crazy. Your grid should be a little bit more evergreen, which means that it should reflect your brand no matter when it is. So people should be able to like look on your screen and go back, and it should kind of make sense what's on there. So it doesn't necessarily have to be real time. No, like you should really be putting a little bit more thought and planning should go into your grid on Instagram. Your stories can kind of be whatever because they're gone within 24 hours, but there should be some kind of consistency and some kind of planning involved with what goes on your grid if you truly want to look like a business page and not a personal page.
I love that. Okay, one last question here. Do you have any favorite editing apps that you would recommend?
100%. Editing is like a whole other topic for sure. Like we could go so deep into editing. But I would definitely recommend that you get the Lightroom mobile app. It's free as far as I know. As long as you don't want to get the desktop one, the mobile one should be free. And then I also use, what's the other one that I really like? Snapseed is the other one that I really like. Some people like, I don't know how you even say it, Visco, VSCO. I don't like that one as much personally, but that's just a personal preference. But Lightroom is more advanced. So if you're going to use Lightroom mobile, just search some YouTube videos. If you follow me like on Instagram, like I said, I do tips all the time. Like I'm going to be doing a lot more stuff for editing since we're all like home and people are doing their own photos. I'm going to start dropping some more free content on that. So if you guys follow me, like I'll be sending stuff and sharing stuff like that. But I mean, there's tons of Google it. YouTube it.
GTS.
Yeah.
Snapseed. Yes, someone didn't hear the app. Snapseed. In Lightroom, do you recommend using presets on your photos?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, if you don't know how to edit, a preset is a great tool, saves lots of time. They're not perfect in terms of like if you use a preset, it may not always work depending on how you took the photo. Like if I took a photo right now with this lighting, and then I took a photo outside on my balcony, and I tried to edit it with the same preset, it would look completely different. Because I edit professionally, I know how to fix that. So if you're struggling with your presets, just know that like if you stick to the just natural light, your preset will pretty much look the same every time, but it's not going to look the same if you're like in a dark room or in a room with like overhead lighting. But it definitely is a good place to start.
Amazing. Okay. Any last questions? Anybody want to drop a question in the chat? I really took so much from that. I think one of the other things that I just want to really highlight before we wrap this up is making that shift about posting about coaching and fitness. That for me, I feel like when you start as a coach, you post what you're really comfortable with, and that becomes our personal journey. And it's that transition into coaching, which is where you really start to see where you're building a team. So if that is a goal for you to be building a team, just keep that in mind of what it is that you're speaking to. And I definitely don't show enough in my feed in terms of like the behind the scenes for coaching. And I loved some of the tips that you gave today because I'm really comfortable with the workouts and the fitness side of things.
Yeah. Well, I even remember commenting on one of yours, Shailene. Remember you posted that picture of you on the laptop? Yeah. And you were building like your workbook or something, and I literally commented and I was like, this photo is amazing, like do more of this.
Yeah. She gives all the tips all the time. You have to just like listen to the hints that she's dropping for you. Okay, thank you guys so much for joining us. That was incredible. Make sure you go download that. Make sure that you book your call with her. Go follow Jocelyn on Instagram. She has so much free content that she gives away all the time, and all of it we can literally apply in our business. So thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you so much, and have an incredible evening, you guys.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you.